My first video I ever did was talking about COMEX default. Now, of course, it didn't default in 2008, but the data is clear now that default is about to occur. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Thanks for watching this video. My name is Davinci Jeremy. Man, is it ever crazy times that we live in? We know that the US dollar is going to collapse. We just didn't know when. And now we have data today with silver exploding. And then you're like, well, what does silver have to do with it? It's not silver doing anything. It's clear now. Finally, the indications are clear. If it wasn't clear with gold, that the system is falling apart. Now, why is it that silver is showing that the system is falling apart? Well, for one, it's not the price that's causing that's just the canary is squawking and telling us, hey, I'm the canary in the coal mine telling you, get out, paper. No, price, right? Could be just going up because the supply and demand dynamics. What you really have to do is look underneath to see what's going on. And when you look underneath, you see that JP Morgan is unwinding all the shorts, right? Its derivatives contracts are just exploding and they're getting screwed over. And you look into it further, you'll find that JP Morgan has been convicted, right? Many of their traders and the company been fined almost $1 billion for manipulating the price of silver. All this is going on. And so why would they do that, right? Well, in order to suppress the price of silver, which has been money for thousands of years. In fact, 14 different languages use money and silver as a synonym. They're the same word. And so they can't allow silver to show people, hey, wait a second here. The system is corrupt. So they've been suppressing silver prices. So much so that so many industries rely heavily on cheap silver. And this has caused also corporations that rely heavily on silver to help support the banks suppress the price. So there's a trifecta effect. Governments helping the silver prices down by helping banks, and banks also keeping the prices down because they want to print money. And then you have businesses wanting to keep the price down, of course, because they want to use the silver. And now that we've been running deficits, meaning there's we're using up more silver than we mine or recycle. A deficit for the last 5 years because the prices were too low. And because of that deficit, now the chickens have come home to roost. Silver prices were not priced properly for the miners, and the miners can't give it away anymore. And thus, now we're seeing massive movements in the market. In fact, I have tweeted about it. You're seeing silver being flown to different parts of the country to keep the system together. That's another red flag because it's usually shipped. We're seeing that these are rumblings that our financial system is coming to an end. It's not because of silver. It's also because of the stock market. You can see the stock market are, at the all-time highs, and amazingly enough, options are at record highs in volume, record highs. And whilst Main Street is suffering, if you ask AI, which I did, I said, hey, listen, is there a historical precedent for this? And what other event occurs shortly after all these factors occur, such as repricing of gold and silver doubling in a year? So this is a precursor to a collapse of the monetary order. It's not hyperinflation yet. It's not the end of the financial system yet, but it's a precursor to that. And that it is inevitable to occur. Now, how bad it will be is totally up to governments. But so I asked the AI system, hey, so what do governments normally do then? Well, unfortunately, he said, they tend to ignore this problem, pretend it'll go away, and continue printing, even though bond market collapsed. So most likely a hyperinflationary event but it's not 100% guaranteed because the government officials can cut it off at the knees and reset the monetary system and install trust again. We don't know how badly this will collapse. And even when they do, that means everything gets repriced to a fair and honest price. Because if it's not fair and honest, if they continue with these shenanigans, nobody's going to believe their new system. So everything has to be repriced fairly. Gold, silver, and including Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin's part of the manipulation. In fact, this is why we're probably going to go through another cycle right now, not because Bitcoin should go through a cycle. It's because they can control the price. More people want, hey, trust me, bros, Bitcoin than actual Bitcoin itself. They would rather hold a promise of Bitcoin than actual Bitcoin. And thus, just like the paper promises of silver that most people were holding, they can suppress the price very easily until people actually demand actual Bitcoin. In this case, people are already demanding silver, and this is causing the tight squeeze. People are not used to demanding their Bitcoin, and they don't want to because they don't know how to hold it. People can hold silver very easily. Very easy to hold. You just take delivery of it, put it in a safe, right? You can carry it with your hand. It's very easy. Bitcoin requires some level of skills that have not been taught to the majority of people. And this is why it has the higher likelihood of being suppressed, even though our system is coming apart. It's also better for the people who manipulate the system because, well, simply put, Bitcoin has a lot of eyeballs on it. And if it gets too out of hand, people will learn that our financial system is a scam. Most people, when I talk to them in a Bitcoin conference, already know our financial system is stealing wealth from them. They understand that concept. This is why they're not like the average Joe who would take a lottery winnings and only, instead of taking the $1 million up front and buying Bitcoin, they would actually accept $1,000 a week for the rest of their lives. This is a big mistake because the dollar is not going to be here. And they're not going to pay. They're either just going to, hey, you know what? We can't give you the dollars because the dollar's gone, but we can pay you out the $1 million. That's worth it. And that's what's going to happen. That's what we see. The average Main Street does not understand how money is losing value, how it's not good, how it's being destroyed, and you need to move it into assets that's going to preserve your wealth. It is what it is. It's sad. These people are going to get wiped out. They're going to lose their home. They're going to lose their stocks and have to start all over and working as slaves to the people who are clearly criminals, because only a criminal will print money, stealing your wealth, and set up laws and systems in order to make sure that any asset that you hold is not yours, and thus they're not going to do nice things to you when you have to go and work for them. And so prepare for that. That's going to be an absolute nightmare. That's what I see coming. I hope more people watch and learn about Bitcoin before it's too late. Powers that be know this. They know that. That's why they cannot let Bitcoin run. And so I foresee that unless the financial system collapses, Bitcoin will most likely go into a secular bear market for the year 2026. It is what it is. But if we don't know when, it could be anywhere between, AI has suggested anywhere between 1 to 5 years. That's normal based on where we are today on this end of the cycle of our current fiat system. We have 1 to 5 years. So if the system collapses, Bitcoin will break out. Bitcoin will do something spectacular as people rush into any asset they can after the bond market collapses. The same with the forex exchange. It will be epic. And I hope it doesn't happen this soon, personally. I want to keep stacking more, but it might be too late. All right, with that said, I hope you learned something today. I hope you actually take advantage of the little time you have that you try to make some money and save it in Bitcoin because the time is short. And once the reality hits, then it's too late. It won't. There will be a massive wealth transfer, and it will be from you to anyone who's holding real assets. I hope you understand that concept. I hope you understand that your house is not a real asset. It's actually just inflated through debt, and it will drop in price as our financial system comes to a close, and no one is going to lend any money to anyone unless it's for high interest rates. And thus, your house prices or value will drop significantly. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.